All right, so am I going to get you to write up all this text? Well, not really. Most of this text I'm going to have for you in a fabulous little Word document. So here's, sorry, Notepad document. So here's a little Notepad document. It's got all the stuff we need, and all I want to do now is I'm going to basically take this and the scope of today this topic is to throw this into a Word document and make sure that we're using the appropriate sort of headings and I think we're all, what the heck, we'll do headers and footers as well on this one. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to take this document. I'm going to keep it just so that I can see what's going on, but let's create a new document. So here's a new document. And the easiest part of the assignment, you take the entire thing, you go Control A to select it all, Control C to copy, minimize, and then paste. And now you should pretty well have all the document. I'm not going to really care too much about you guys screwing around with fonts and stuff, except for particular things, which I'll bring up in a minute. Okay, let me get my actual thing over here so I can see what I did. All right, so what I'm saying right now, first of all, we want um, to recognize when we have sort of headings. And so I'm going to take here this guy, and this guy is going to be a heading. I click on heading. Now, I don't like that heading because if you notice in the document, I've got that heading as being black right there. So I'm going to make that guy black. Now, remember what I could do is I could change it here, but I think a cooler approach is to go up to heading, go modify, and I'm going to say, please make it black. I don't really care. Oops, not automatic. Black. Thank you. I don't really care about uh again fonts and stuff like that. That's all up to you guys to figure out what you want to do in your real life. Obviously, look at to see what your company's doing or what what you want to do. I mean, this is creativity too, right? All right, so we got that's supposed to be heading, that's supposed to be heading, and that looks like it's another kind of heading. If I click on this guy, you'll notice that he is actually a heading two. And I'll try to write that up. But anyway, so he's a heading. So he's a heading. Now, because I went heading, boom, he's going to automatically be the same as that. That's awesome. And then actually, didn't I have underlined too? Yeah, I had underlined as well. All right. So this is a good example of that. I'm going to right click on my heading, modify. I'm going to say, please underline. I go underline. I go, okay. It is going to apply to only in this document. Actually, I'm going to go automatically update too. I'm going to go okay. And now both these guys have been underlined. Awesome. Those are both headings, or heading one, what it used to be. This is now a heading two. I'm going to click on this guy, make him a heading two. Same deal with this guy. I don't want him to be blue. I'd like him to be black. I'm going to go okay. So now he's basically a heading two. I don't think he was underlined. He was not. So good deal. So he's not underlined. And so now I'm just going to go through and do that for Venus. I'm going to do that for Earth. I'm going to do that for Mars. I'm going to do that for Jupiter. Should have just basically picked a smaller topic, but whatever. There's Saturn, Uranus, or if you want to giggle a bit, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Well, Pluto is not one of the dwarf planets. Dwarf planets is a heading, and then Pluto itself is a heading two. Ceres is a heading two. I never even heard of some of these guys, so way to go for that and that and that. And I think more or less that's it. Now, works cited. I'm going to look at my own Word document, but works cited, I strongly suspect is probably heading one or something like that, right? Are you heading? Well, no. What are you? No, you're normal. Well, I don't like that. That's definitely going to be heading one. In real life, I'll be heading one, and I'll be heading one over here. All right, cool beans. So now I got all my headings in place. And I guess the other thing to make this my own things you might want to do too at this point is like tighten it up a little bit. Like, some of these spaces and stuff, I don't know really if I like them. Oh, the other thing too, when you're looking at the structure, notice that these little poems are all italics, right? They're all italics. So you're going to want to go ahead and do that. I'm going to make that guy italics right there. Where's my little italics button? And also, it's taking up a lot of space. And so for these guys, the poems, they really should have, if, they're taking up a lot of space because what's happening is there's a hard return at the end of each of these. And there's sort of this rule that in the paragraph, right, we're going to be leaving 8 points after each hard enter. In this case, what I want to do is I want to reduce that to 0. And then I'm just going to put an extra line. All right, so I'd want to basically do that with all of these poems and make sure all the poems basically look kind of like that. Now, I could do this over and over and over again, or another way to do this is to go use the format painter and go up and do it that, right? And basically do that over and over and over again. If you're going to do that a lot, you could highlight what you want, the format, and then double click, and now that guy's kind of locked in. So I can go to Earth, I can go to Mars, and so on, and just keep going. And I'll do that without you guys watching. But basically, I can go ahead and make the poems good. I guess the other thing too, paying attention to my original document at this point. Yeah, I spared you guys a lot of formatting, but here's one here that you're going to want to pay attention to. So the disclaimer. Okay, by the way, we'll click off that now. But anyways, the disclaimer, you can undo any mistakes that you actually do. Anyway, so the disclaimer, I'm going to have bold, and I can't remember, but were you also underline? No, you weren't. And then the rest of this was going to be italics. Now you're going to see some other text that's sitting inside of this document. For example, you're going to see these figures and things. Try to just stick with what I've done, right? Because those are going to come in through another way. And this other guy here, this is a link. It's a hyperlink. So let's make it a link. And we can do that pretty easy. Sometimes this will happen on its own. Like right now, I think if I just hit enter, it'll make itself a hyperlink. If I did not want that for some weird reason, what I could do is I could basically highlight the thing I wanted to make a link and then go insert, and then there's a link. And then I could basically just put the link in here. Link in here. Okay, I didn't have the link because I didn't copy it. Go copy and try that again. So insert the link. Okay, it's here now, but if I didn't have it, I could just go and paste it there. It's there again, of course, and boom. Right, so that's another thing. All right, so now we've done a lot of the sort of the formatting. There's some room for improvement. Like as I said, we want to probably go ahead and do that with all the poems. And I think that's all I wanted to do there. Now that this other part that I said that we're going to do is the headings and footers. So the headings and footers, how in the world do you do those? Well, we're on insert right now, but you find insert and you find header. I've always just picked like the third, the three, the blank threes, but you can get pretty funky with these. But I've generally done that. And then now I got to remind myself what I actually put for the heading. What I put for the heading was the course. So there's the course, planets and dwarf planets, and then Grant Spencer. All right, so I'm going to do that as if I don't know what haven't seen it. I'm going to go ISTC 1057. I'm going to go planets with the right case, planets, and the dwarf planets. And I'm going to make that my name. All right. So that's my wonderful heading, and then I'm going to get my wonderful footing. Now the footing or footer. And so with the footer way down at the bottom, we've got basically a date, and then we've got page this of this. All right, so my advice is to put the page number thing in first. So I'm going to go insert. It's going to be page number. I want it at the bottom, and I like the page one of whatever. That basically gets all that in. Now, I say do this first because now I'm automatically in the footer. And so if I want, I can just basically go backspace, get to the left-hand side. I'm going to left-hand side because what I want to do is I want to type the date on the left-hand side. So now back to the other document. So I'm going to put the date. So 09/26/2025, and I'm going to tab myself back over, and now I've got myself a footer. And that was it for this particular section. Try and get your document looking kind of like that, and then we're going to go on, and our next step is to add a title page, and then add a slightly different heading, and then add the pictures in.